Hi, my name is Jack Ingram. I'm a junior at Northwood University in Midland, Michigan. I study automotive marketing and management. My goal is to one day own a dealership, but first I have to start in the sales process. And I'm taking a Principles of Selling class right now, so through use of information in the book, my personal experience, and also 3 interviews with different salesmen in 3 different industries, I'm going to show you what I consider to be the basics and the principles of selling. So the first person that I interviewed is Nick Romano from Sarah Toyota in Birmingham. He's a Sarah Toyota Pro, which means he sold over 162 new Toyotas in 1 year, and that was actually last year. I've worked with him for 3 years. He averages about 14 cars per month, and the most he's ever sold in 1 month is 17 cars, which is a lot. The next salesman I interviewed is from Birmingham, Alabama, and she moved to Midland, Michigan. She works at the Midland Community Center. Her name's Abby Johnson. She goes to Auburn University, and she's a great salesman. She works selling memberships to the customers who come into the community center. And then the final salesman I picked out is Wyatt Wilson. I went to Northwood with Wyatt. He's a great friend of mine. He owns soldbywyatt.com. He's a realtor based out of Fenton, Michigan. Great guy. Studied entrepreneurship here at Northwood. And so, getting into the principles of selling using these 3 salesmen, myself, and the textbook, I kind of wanted to break it down into the principles. I think one of the first principles is trust. And so, when is trust earned? Well, trust is earned, in Abby's words, when the buyer feels like you're taking care of them and not trying to take advantage of them. And I absolutely agree with this. If someone doesn't trust you, they aren't going to buy from you. And that's just a fact. Trust is important in your work, in your friendships, in your relationships. You need to be trustful. You never need to mislead or lie to anybody. It's only going to hurt you. It truly is going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt your business and everyone you care about. One of the other biggest principles of selling is ethics. And so, what are ethics? Well, ethics refers to the right and wrong of an individual or the company they work for. You can have good or bad ethics, and typically most people think that salesmen have really bad ethics. That's a mindset that I personally don't agree with. I try to be as ethical as I can, and so does every other salesman that I know. And I asked Nick Romano, do you consider yourself to be a salesman? Because car salesmen typically get the worst rap. And he said yeah, and he identified a couple ways that you can actually, or that he thinks he is an ethical salesman. One is that he doesn't escape people. This is a car dealership terminology. That means he doesn't try to screw over, per se, his teammates to try to get an extra deal. He's not going to steal a customer. He's not going to basically just steal from his teammates or anybody else to get the deal. He doesn't write false information on credit apps. No false information to the banks, to the managers, to the customer. Again, being completely transparent and honest is the most important thing. And being ethical, or at least one of the most important things. And then, I like this one, do things the way they're supposed to be done. Inside, you have a locus of control that tells you whether what you're doing is right or wrong. And it's a gut feeling, it's in your head. You can identify good ethics and bad ethics within yourself and others very easily. And good ethics are only going to help you. They're only going to help you. And so, once you have ethics and trust built in and instilled within you, it's time to start understanding the buyer. You cannot sell if you don't know your target market. You can't be successful in you can't be successful in your occupation if you don't know your target market. All salesmen absolutely agree with this. And so, well, how do you begin to understand the buyer? How do you understand what they need or what they want? Well, this is what I asked Nick Romano. He said his best way of identifying these needs is through needs assessments, questioning, figuring out what they do and don't want or need within their car, and just uncover more and more information about the product they have in mind, but more importantly, the product that they need. And I want to take this just a second to stress the difference between wants and needs. I want a sports car, rear-wheel drive, twin-turbo, the fast package, but I need an all-wheel drive SUV due to the ice and snow up here. So your job as a salesman is to listen to the wants, but also, more importantly, identify the needs. And you can't identify needs if you are not communicating clearly with the customer. You need good, open communication. You need 2-way communication, not one way. I need to speak to the customer Then I need to have the customer send me feedback, communicate back with me, tell me what's going on, so we can have a two-way communication instead of just one way with, just me spreading the information. Two-way communication is the most important thing for a sale. And then Romano says, when I asked if he uses any closes or anything like that for his job, which is a little harsher form of communication designed to push the customer into buying, and he said, yeah, very much so. I asked what his favorite trial close was, because I love closes. His favorite trial close is there anything you'd like to change on this vehicle before you take it home today? Now, this is before they've signed papers, before anything. They haven't agreed to buy it. However, mentally, after this, they can begin taking ownership of it. It's a great trial close to, kind of test the water and see where the customer is within the purchasing process. And then another really important thing within communication is body language. I looked into this all year. I got a bunch of different reports and studies saying that body language is anywhere from 60 to 80% of the conversation. And that's a lot. And the oral, spoken communication is about 5% of the conversation. So, what does that mean? Basically, it means that if I'm trying to sell something, but I just have this body language, I just don't care, but my closes are really good. Everything I'm saying makes a lot of sense, but this is me. You're not going to buy from me. You need to have open, positive body language like this. Breathe a little bit, smile to the customer, use your hands if you need to, but just be open, be welcome. Don't do this. Body language, again, 60 to 80%. You can blow the deal if you weren't paying attention to this. And again, what are some of the worst things you can do to blow the deal? In my opinion, and the books, body language is one of the biggest one. Nick Romano says, saying, I don't know. Love it. You never should say, I don't know. If they ask the answer, say, hold on, let me go get that information for you. You need to know the information, and so does the customer. Go and get the information for them. And, of course, lying and guessing, bad ethics, all that will completely ruin the deal for you, 100% of the time. And so then, how do you create value within the product that you're trying to sell? Satisfaction, service, testimonials, quality. These are all things that create and add on to value. I asked Abby, how do you create value? Abby said, the most important thing is first using your product. And I love this, because if you don't use your product, you aren't aware of all the benefits that come from it. So then she says, I find their needs, what their needs are answered with my product. And then she adds on more benefits to it. So basically she figures out the needs that the customer wants, tells them, because she knows the benefits from the product, which will help her, and then adds on more benefits, bells and whistles to the product to make it more worth buying to her. Again, creating value is critical for getting a deal. And so how do you address concerns? Again, critical for getting a deal. Well, it's kind of weird because I asked Nick Romano and Abby about this as well, and Wyatt. I asked, is there a difference between objections and concerns? And they all agreed. And what I got out of this and the book is that an objection is a reason someone doesn't want to buy the car. Either the interest rate's too high, the price is too much, they don't like the tires. Those can all be objections, reasons they won't buy it. You're hitting a wall. But a concern is they're more concerned that the product won't be able to meet their need. And your job as a salesman is to handle these concerns by giving them all the information, showing them that their needs and wants are covered completely. And if you can do this properly, just with the use of information that you have on hand or your managers have on hand, you can get the deal 99% of the time. And so again, how do you handle concerns? Lots of information. That's the most important part. If you don't have the information, managers, and then word tracks too. Before you go to your manager, try to redirect it a little bit. I'm not saying mislead, just redirect it towards more of what you know. But again, if they have a concern that needs to be addressed, get the information. You have to get the deal. And how do you get the deal? How do you earn the commitment? Well, there's a couple different ways. And my favorite salesman said that when they have realized the benefits outweigh the negatives, and Abby was spot on with this, the benefits definitely outweigh the negatives in any situation for when I'm trying to sell a product. My product is the greatest benefit, and there are practically no negatives, but I do identify them. So your job as a salesman is to make the benefits way outweigh the negatives. So benefits and negatives. Benefits need to outweigh the negatives. And how can you earn a commitment? Commitment questions, getting the customer to take mental ownership of the car or the product. Trial closes again, taking ownership, testing the water, seeing where the customer is at, and closers. That's another great way to earn commitment. If you aren't good enough at closing down the deal, there's probably someone else within your company who's a very good closer and will get the deal. So, customer relationships are the most important thing as a salesman. If you only have bad customer relationships, you're not going to be a successful salesman, that's for sure. You need to have good, strong, positive relationships, because positive relationships multiply exponentially. They will keep growing, while a negative does the same thing except worse. You're going to be turning people off to your company instead of turning them on. And developing a relationship is absolutely essential for the sale. All three salesmen agreed, and there's a lot of positive a lot of positive benefits that a positive relationship can have. And I collected these from the book and the three salesmen. Repeat buyers. The person who originally purchased the product is probably going to come back and buy from you again if you have a positive relationship with them. They're going to send their friends and families to you. They're going to make more buyers. Again, just growing exponentially. Friends turn to relatives, and it's an endless cycle, and they'll all come back to you if you can develop a good, strong, positive relationship with each one of them. More benefits at work and more cash. I mean, those are definitely some of the best benefits of a positive relationship. We can all agree with that. And negative relationships, it's not that it leaves you where you are and you don't get the deal. Negative relationships truly hurt you. They'll tell their friends and relatives they won't buy again. None of them will, and it's going to grow exponentially of people who won't buy from you because of your negative relationship with just a few people. Getting blasted on social media, if this doesn't upset you, it's very much so going to upset your boss or your managers. If you're getting blasted on social media, everyone's talking about how bad you are or how much you screwed them over or anything like that, you're not going to be successful. You need to be aware of that too. You need to have a strong social media presence with positive relationships with everyone on there. And one of the worst things that can come from a negative relationship is a loss of traffic and a loss of money. When those two things start happening, you have really messed up, and it's really time to see what you can do to either save the relationships or develop positive relationships from here on out. So once you've built the customer relationship, you need more. You need to develop a whole network of different customers who are coming back to you and sending their friends and people to you. I asked Wyatt what some of his favorite sources were for building a customer network. Social media, this is great. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, any of these things are great places. And even places like Xbox, like online games, you wouldn't think so, but I've sold actually using Xbox Live before. That's kind of funny. Lead sources are another great way. Your managers more than likely buy leads that you can go and, give them a cold call, give them a ring, see what's up. Great way to build a customer network if you can develop a strong customer relationship with the people off the lead sources. Friends are a great way. My friends love to buy cars from me, and I love when my friends buy cars from me. And, their families will too, and their friends will too if you do a good enough job. Networking, that's another great way to build a customer network, even though it's in the name. You need to do this. You need networking. You need to meet as many people as you can. You need to tell them what you do. Hand out business cards. Get them back. And prospecting is something that every salesman should be doing all the time. A lot of salesmen have heard the phrase ABC, always be closing, or ABS, which is not anti-lock brake system. It's actually always be selling. You should always be selling throughout your life. And prospecting is that. Constantly give out business cards. Let people know what you're doing. Let them know who you are and what you do for a living. So one of the most important things as an individual who sells things or within the principles of selling is self-leadership. If you don't have self-leadership, if you don't have an intrinsic motivation set, if something inside of you doesn't motivate you, it's going to be really hard to be successful as a salesman. But there's a lot of benefits of having that intrinsic motivation, of being able to motivate yourself, have a sense of achievement, increased happiness, reduced stress, resilience, and better relationships. And that's just for you. Your company's going to see a lot of benefits too. Engaged and empowered workforce, improved goal setting and results, collaborative team efforts, more creativity and innovation, and faster and better decision making. And these all come from you being intrinsically motivated and being a self-leader. that leads me to teamwork, because you need to be a self-leader. You need to be totally motivated within yourself, but you need to be able to work well within a group too. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what you sell, stocks, cars, boats, memberships, anything. You need to have teamwork. And I really like this phrase because throw me a freaking bone here. Like that's a phrase you hear a lot, man. Throw me a bone. Give me some help. Whether that's give me a new customer, help me out with a customer, or anything like that. Any of those will absolutely help you because you need to be able to lean on your teammates, and your teammates will lean back on you too, and you'll both benefit from it. Absolutely. So thank you for listening. Again, my name is Jack Ingram. I'm a junior here at Northwood University studying automotive marketing and management. When I graduate, I'll be returning to Sarah Toyota in Birmingham. I have my cell phone number up on here, 205-585-7506. If you or anyone you know may be in the market for a used vehicle, give me a call. Or if you have any other questions about the principles of selling, some advice, or want to just talk, again, if you have advice for me, please give me a call or text. I would love to hear it. Thank you.